Good afternoon, welcome to Cougar Park, Keighley, for yet another well, greeted there by a set of fireworks right behind us. Just wondering what on earth that was all about, but I think that was possibly intended to welcome the Keighley side onto the field, but it wasn't the Keighley side. But here they come now. The game is Keighley, it's Carlisle the visitors, and the sides for this afternoon. Keighley fullback Andre Stoop, the three-quarters Andy Ayres, Nick Pinkley, Simon Irvine and Johnny Walker in for the injured Neil Kenyon. He's out with a broken bone in his hand. Keith Dixon replaces Martin Wood at standoff, who was injured in training during the week. Number 7 is Chris Robinson. The forwards, Ian Gately, Jason Ramshaw, Steve Hall, Darren Fleary, Grant Dory and Gareth Cochran. Substitutes for Keighley, Darren Appleby and Brendan Hill. And for Carlisle, the visitors this afternoon in their red, white and blue strip, fullback Willie Richardson, three-quarters Phil Manning, Colin Paxton, he's replacing Kevin Pape out with injury. Number 4 is Simon Knox and 5 Barry Quayle. Stuart Nubley and Willie Johnson making up the half-backs with Steve Braley, Danny Russell, Hugh Waddell, player-coach Hugh Waddell of course, Jason Charlton, George Graham and Gary Charlton making up the forwards. Jeff Robinson at 14, Derek Armstrong at 15. Referee this afternoon is David Atkin from Hull. Well, Mr. Atkin welcomes the captain of Carlisle to the centre of the field, Gary Charlton. Steve Hall for Keighley. Just a quick word telling him what he expects of both sides, what he doesn't expect. And it looks as though Carlisle won the toss, electing to play up the hill, and the field this afternoon distinctly one of two parts. The far side of the field, as we look at it, and particularly in front of the stand, extremely heavy water coming up to the surface above the boots. The side that we look at, absolutely bone dry. So then Mr. Atkin, one of the referees who have been taking the top games in the First Division this season, here at Keighley this afternoon as Robinson gets the game underway. And there's certainly going to be a tremendous colour clash here this afternoon. Mr. Atkin going to have a lot of difficulty with the two colours, red being very predominant in both kits. As Carlisle try to get away from their own half, but John Walker pulling off the tackle, but Mr. Atkin spotting a knock-on, or was it a forward pass? I'm not sure. Whatever it was, it's Keighley's head and feet at the scrum as Robinson gets it onto Dixon. Dixon finds Simon Irvine in the centre of the field, but he's brought to ground just inside that Carlisle 20. And Mr. Atkin patiently waiting for the Carlisle player to get off the man who was trying to get up and play the ball. Fullback Willie Richardson it was, looking somewhat dismayed at the referee's decision, but certainly thought Mr. Atkin had been very patient there, waiting for him to get off. Simon Irvine then with an early opportunity of putting points on the board for Keighley. Simon Irvine then eventually getting the ball in the right position and duly provides the 2 points for the laying on penalty. So the perpetrator of the offence has the opportunity of taking the restart and immediately concedes another penalty. Well, Mr. Richardson will be not too pleased with himself for that. I would imagine his coach will be even less pleased. Keith Dixon then with the left boot to put the ball into touch on this side of the field. Duly accomplishes the task successfully onto the 20-metre line. Mr. Atkin telling the Carlisle defenders to get back as Ramshaw now sets up the thing. Ian Gately charges in there. Number 8 Steve Brierley for Carlisle saw him coming and almost stood off him as Robinson operates a run round with Steve Hall in the centre of the park, but the scrum half brought to ground right in front of the Carlisle post, 10 metres out. Ramshaw once more, on to Dixon. Dixon delays the pass and runs into trouble and gets out of jail there as Andre Stokes got the ball. Nick Pinkney's in for the try. Well, that try came from an absolutely dreadful mistake, I thought, by Keith Dixon. He delayed a pass, made an awful mess of it, got out of Armley jail, free of charge. The ball came across the field. Nick Pinkney provided the score. So less than 4 minutes on the clock when that Nick Pinkney try was registered. And Simon Irvine with a similar task to his previous penalty attempt, but to the opposite side of the post. Strikes the upright and comes back out again, unfortunately. So I was about to say Simon Irvine already kicked 35 goals prior to this afternoon in the 6 appearances. On target for number 2 there, but unfortunately that wasn't to be the case. Richardson then once more restarts. That's a much better kick for him. Missing the boot of Robinson, but well covered behind there by Andy Ayres. Back to the 10-metre line. Ayres struggles to get up as Ramshaw now onto Darren Fleary. Fleary coming in, 3 men round in there. The ooze from the crowd as they thought the first tackle was across the head. And certainly Carlisle tackling with a certain amount of vigour there. Hugh Waddell, the player coach, leading that tackling sprint as Ian Gately this time for Keighley gets back to the 30-metre line and in fact holding down again. Mr. Atkins certainly very, very keen on the holding down. He'd barely been tackled there, the Keighley player, before he was pushed back down and Mr. Atkin now explaining to them, you do that now, keep blowing the whistle. Keith Dixon then across to Robinson. Robinson finds Ramshaw in the centre of the field. He's tackled though just inside the Carlisle half of the field. Robinson onto Fleury. And Fleury again. Keighley operating in the extremely wet patch over the far side, and there's a penalty here to Carlisle for not playing the ball correctly. Well, I was beginning to wonder actually why Mr. Atkin had been dropped into the second division, and perhaps it's because he's going to penalise players who don't play the ball, because they certainly don't do that in the first division, and they get away with it. So perhaps he's been marked down by those people in the first division for that sort of thing. Type of refereeing that we do want to see is that, where they do penalise players for not playing the ball. But this is Carlisle, 30 metres from the Keighley line. Hugh Woodell brought 25 short now, as Carlisle looking for the options. Hooker, Danny Russell it is, setting things up there. And that's a tremendous tackle and push back there by Gareth Coffin and Simon Irvine. And here goes Russell up the touchline side, but the ball lost, regathered by Keighley. John Walker the man doing the regathering. Simon Irvine taking the ball into the centre of the field for Keighley. Referee just indicates that the tackle was across the chest there. And it's Ramshaw on to Hall. And Carlisle certainly using a wedging tactic here. Both flanks coming up very quickly at the play of the ball. Slightly into an offside position as Stoke gets airs in. Nice ball out to Robinson. He's got Fleury with him. Fleury's going to score. Oh, and that was a tremendous try there for Keighley. It came out of absolutely nothing. Quick into passing down this side of the field. Stoke was involved. Ayres was involved. So was Robinson, and Fleury scored the try. Tremendous support play there by Keighley, bringing those 4 points right underneath the post. And the crowd at the top end of the field and all up this side still applauding that tremendous show of skill of passing from the Keighley players that brought that try for Darren Fleury. Simon Irvine from right in front of the post now. No mistake this time.
Hello, 1-2. That was Simon Irvine. At least we got the microphone going. We haven't got any music yet, Mike, but we've got the microphone going. That minute's silence was for Joe Sherburn. We'd like to thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your silence, not knowing what you were doing. It was tremendous stuff. Thank you very much. If anybody is a good singer out there, come up here and sing Simon Says, will you? Thank you.
Willie Richardson then restarts again. Robinson takes the ball, feeds Fleury in the pattern which now become accustomed, but that ball spilled. Big hit on Fleury there, the ball popping out on the way to the tackle. And it's Carlisle now setting up inside the Keighley 20. Richardson, the full-back, linking up there, and Russell the hooker acting half-back weights. Shoots out play to Braley, the open side prop, inside the Keighley 10 now. It's tackling time for Keighley as Carlisle launch an attack on the line. And that's good tackling there by Darren Fleury, restricting Carlisle on that occasion. Waddell leading the pack forward, looks for the offload, but in fact manages to get it away. Certainly shouldn't have been allowed to get that one away, and it's number 12 there, George Graham, taking play within a couple of metres of the Keighley line. The kick through, it's been kicked, it's been juggled, it's back to one though. A couple of Keighley boots involved there, but it's taking play a little bit away from that danger area. Keighley at least got the opportunity to come at them now, as Russell tackled, well tackled there by Keighley. And George Graham. Russell out then to scrum half. Johnson, Willie Johnson, of course, the player been around the circuit a number of years. And Russell going in at far side, looking for the link, and certainly being put off, possible players and spectators and ourselves, by the music in the background, as Carlisle still camped inside that 10-metre line. Oh, and that could so easily have been a try. So easily. The colour clash there, certainly, I think, coming into effect, because winger Barry Quayle sneaked through those Keighley players. I didn't see him go, I'm sure they didn't see him go. And he almost got the touchline, as it is, fortunately for Keighley. They've now got the ball back. They're 18 or 19 metres out, as Robinson slips in that boggy area. Certainly doesn't look boggy from this height, but I can assure you it is down at ground level. And Ramshaw on to Hall. Hall breaks the tackle. He's got Cochrane outside him. He's got Ramshaw inside him. He gives it to Ramshaw. He's looking for support. There wasn't any. Missed who put that ball down. I think it was Simon Irvine who dropped that one, but there was a try all over it. But Keighley regathered again. Hits the foot of Grant Dory. Dory takes the ball in through the centre, and play just a little bit scrappy at the moment as Dory plays the ball. Robinson finds Keighley. Keighley drives into the centre, but that all came about from a big bust through there by Steve Hall. And Ayres dummied to create the gap, but the Carlisle defenders not taking the dummy on that occasion, as Dixon steps left, steps right. Ayres gets the ball, but again he's brought down, but play gone from one end of the field to the other. It's inside the Carlisle 10 now, as Ramshaw spins the ball out. Robinson puts the chip kick over the top for the chase for Pinkney. Nick Pinkney's going to get there. Oh, did he hit it? He's given him offside. The referee said he was inside the 10 when the ball was kicked, or he was in an offside in front of the player, I should say, when the ball was kicked. He didn't give the defence 10. So Carlisle live to fight another day. But I wasn't all that sure that Nick Pinkney had actually got the touch anyway. Colin Paxton, the number 3 centre there for Carlisle, being tackled just short of the 30-metre line, as Russell gets the ball onto Waddell. And Waddell offloads in the tackle out to Braley, but Braley, I beg your pardon, it's not Braley, it's George Graham, struggling and trying to get the ball away, not able to do. And well, I think Keighley consider themselves lucky there for not being penalised for holding down. Last tackle called now by Mr. Atkin, as Russell pumps the ball upfield to the far side. Andre Stoop just taps it with his foot, but immediately puts those Carlisle players on side. And again there's a penalty. In fact, the Carlisle player going to be called out by Mr. Atkin. I'm not particularly sure about for what he did, as to what he possibly said afterwards. Simon knocks the offender. In fact, the punch going in. Keith Dixon then puts that penalty into touch, a metre from the halfway line. Johnny Walker, it was obvious to all the Carlisle defenders that Johnny Walker was just going to drive that ball in, because not a Keighley player in support there within 10-15 metres, as Keighley now gets through the hole. Gareth Cochrane doing well to take that ball. Standoff Stuart Nubley almost intercepting, as Robinson now switches play to Dixon. Dixon finds Pinkney. Pinkney drives through the middle, but brought to ground 25 short. And Ramshaw on to Robinson. The pass there to Dory, well in front of him. He had no chance of taking that ball. It was a fingertip control if he had taken it, reaching for it all the time. Possibly half a pace behind where he should have been. But, As Johnson rather, feeds the scrum for Carlisle. This is Richardson in possession now, almost to within 10 metres of the halfway line. Johnson feeds the ball out there to Waddell, but Waddell's going to go to ground and does so just inside his own half of the field. Russell acting half-back for Carlisle now. Gets the ball out there to Charlton. Jason Charlton, 2 Charltons in this side this afternoon. Jason at 11 and Gary at 13, the captain. Dory doing the tackling, and Gary Charlton looking for the penalty there to referee, saying that you penalised us, why aren't you penalising them? But Mr Atkin adjudging that that wasn't laying on, possibly so much as holding down by Charlton. Kick over the top there by Barry Quayle for the chase, and Andre Stoop on the end of it, gets away from the first tackler, comes through the centre, and no way through there for him. Ian Gately this time providing, or half providing, what might have been a possible opportunity for Keighley. And it's Dixon, looks out to his right hand side. John Walker comes inside with the ball, strides through 2 or 3 players, but brought down by a trio of Carlisle defenders on the halfway line. Ramshaw out to Robinson, he finds Dixon, runs round with Robinson again, through the gap, offloads to Dory in support. Dory brought down 10 metres inside the Carlisle half, and certainly Dory helped back to the ground there by the Carlisle player holding the foot. When that ball knocked out of the hands, fortunately for Keighley going backwards, Andy Ayres sweeping up. It's the last one. As Fleury onto Robinson. Robinson looks to see where the defence is, puts it high in the air, and Steve Hall onto the tackle of the full-back, picks the ball up. I beg your pardon, I think it's in fact Simon Irving doing the snipping there behind Steve Hall, but it was a tremendous kick there by Chris Robinson, a superb chase and tackle by Steve Hall that spilled the ball out of scrum half Willie Johnson's hands. Simon Irving had the simplest of, well, not simple, because he's still got to pick the ball up and put it down over the line, but there we go, 4 more points for Keighley and 18 minutes on the clock. Irving duly adding the excess to his try. So then Richardson restarts. The familiar pattern of Robinson taking the ball and Fleury driving it in. Ramshaw, Gareth Cochran taking the ball in, just he was looking to see where to go, and he saw 3 Carlisle players in front of him and no way could he get through those. Ramshaw spins, turns the ball to Robinson inside into the centre of the park now, 22 metres out from the Keighley line. Grant Dory half through the gap, but a desperate last-ditch tackle there by scrum half Willie Johnson, preventing the movement going further, but still in the hands of Dory as he continued the move on. Robinson, it's the last tackle. Dixon puts the left boot to ball. Referee immediately called play on there as Quayle fields the ball on his own 20 and is tackled in the centre of the field on his 20. Richardson 25 metres out as Russell gets the ball on to centre Colin Paxton, but he feels the full weight of the tackle there from Ian Gately and Darren Fleury as Johnson gets Waddell moving forward. Oh, and that ball was lost. Oh no, that ball was lost. The Carlisle player certainly surrendered that ball. Certainly Mr. Atkin was conned by that one. I feel his touch judge may have offered some assistance on that occasion, but in fairness, I don't think the referee didn't look to him. But Carlisle have made the basic mistake of losing possession as Keith Dixon now offloads to Keighley. Keighley inside to Fleury. Keighley just standing still at the moment, but Fleury now straightening things up and taking the action into the opposition half of the field, and the ball lost. This time Mr. Atkin consulting his touch judge, and the touch judge on this side giving the decision of the lost ball. I feel though, had he looked at it previously, he may well have found that the touch judge on this side would have given a similar decision to that which is just offered to him now. However, Carlisle in possession, Richardson the man with the ball, and Johnson gets the ball out the far side of the field now to Simon Knox. And the ball lost. All on set, all okay, says the referee. It went back. Well, plays a bit slack and sloppy as Johnson finds Richardson. Richardson coming up in the centre of the field now, taking on the Keighley defence, 15 metres out, as Russell the hooker gets the ball on there to Brearley. Good drake in there by Brearley, but tackled by Robinson and Ramshaw. Waddell driving in, and there's got to be some weight there, but there isn't. Well, Hugh Waddell being allowed to score there, I say. I'm just looking to see where the Keighley forwards were. Certainly Steve Hall in the centre of the park. But a relatively simple try there for Carlisle. Richardson certainly had plenty of experience so far in this game of restarting the game following scores. We now wait to see his accuracy with planting the ball within a restricted area. Well, certainly he's taken his time, but it was worth it. There's the 2 extras for Carlisle. Willie Johnson, the converter of the Hugh Waddell try. Willie Richardson.
That's Magnet Trade sponsoring the main match today, or Magnet I should say, and the ball sponsor is Stanley Middleton, and the man of the match sponsor is Herbert Roberts Limited, dyers, finishers and shrinkers at Royd Works.
So 24 minutes into the game. 26 points in total on the 24 points in total on the scoreboard. Carlisle defending desperately now inside their own 20-metre line following that restart by Robinson, and Russell gets the ball out this side to Waddell. Waddell coming up the hill, certainly driving his way up with great determination. Loose forward, Gary Charlton taking play further forward towards the halfway line as Russell, faced with nothing else to do, puts the ball. Notice Andre Stoop is off the line. It easily beats 3 Carlisle players there, looking to step out of the 4th, does so, and the 5th, and the 6th, and the 7th, but brought to ground in fact by that 7th Carlisle defender, crawled all over in fact by Simon Knox, but that was sheer opportunism there by and a lot of skill by Andre Stoop, evading those Carlisle defenders, setting up the motion into the Carlisle half of the field, now taken on by Ian Gately. Ramshaw on to Robinson, Robinson out then to Dixon. He finds Simon Irvine in support. Nick Pinkney's there, but he's brought down 10 metres. In fact, play just transferred field position from one side of the field to the other as Irvine gets Robinson on. Robinson, a flat pass out there to Ramshaw. He finds Robinson, a over the top pass. Johnny Walker steps out of the first tackle, inside to Robinson. Robinson finds Ayres. White back to one though, says Mr. Atkin, a Carlisle hand on it. Ayres trying desperately to get up, manages to eventually, as Robinson, well, he was desperately trying to offload the ball there. He couldn't, but he certainly set things up a little bit further away from the line to give Keighley more depth as Cochrane gets the ball into the 10-metre area of Carlisle. Gets up, plays the ball out to Fleary. Fleary finds Pinkney on the outside. He's going outside, and in fact the ball gone into touch there. Just not quite able to see it for the ridge of the stand. Keighley wanted to make a substitution. Grant Dory, the man who's going to be coming off, Brendan Hill, to replace him.
Special request for Mandy Westerman, 13 today, and all she wants is a cuddle from Big Brendan.
Well, Brendan Hill takes his place in the front row. Steve Hall drops back into the second row position vacated by Grant Dory, now taking a spell on the bench. Carlisle ball away from the scrum again. It's fullback Richardson, certainly involved in a lot of the work being put in by Carlisle, and the play over the far side of the field. Carlisle doing well to get away there. Across the field, 25 metres clear of their own line. That's a good tackle there by John Walker. And Russell going up the short side, but gives the ball back, and Walker involved in the tackle again, but Carlisle still keep the ball alive. Willie Johnson finishing up in a splash pool there on the side as Gary Charlton puts that ball into touch, some 25 metres out from the Keighley line. So then Keighley from the resultant scrum. Good kick there in the chase. Andy Ayres doing the chasing. His opposite number, Phil Manning. And Quayle gets the ball safely away. Game back into the splash pool, and Brendan Hill caught one there. Looks as though it's the right hand. Shake it hard, Brendan, it'll be all okay. Carlisle then working the way back upfield through the shape of Hugh Waddell into the Keighley half of the field. Again a missed tackle there on Waddell, but it's the last one coming up, says Mr. Atkin, as Russell again pumps the ball over the far side of the field. Just takes a sideways kick into touch, and Carlisle driving Keighley back up into their own half of the field, deep into their own territory, almost to the same spot from where the last scrum took place. The scrum, that is, that Keighley had the head and feed at. Walker from the scrum, Dixon, Brendan Hill. And you can almost throw a blanket over the Keighley players as they're coming forward down the field, all down in the centre area there. Ramshaw into Gately. Gately drives again through the centre, looks for the supporting player on his right hand side, none to be found. And Ramshaw out to Robinson. Robinson just, well, he was looking to get through there, but lost the opportunity. The Carlisle player kicked the ball. Now the Mr. Atkin, is he going to wipe the slate clean? He hasn't done yet. He just called play on. But Steve Hall's going. He's got Pinkney with him. Pinkney, well covered tackle there by Barry Quayle. I think probably Nick Pinkney would have done better to try and go inside Steve Hall, but Steve Hall going down the short side. Tackled 10 metres out. All sorts of Carlisle players round him there. Pinkney acting half-back. Robinson on to Dixon in the centre of the field now. Dixon, well, he delayed the pass to Ayres. I think he might have done better spinning a pass out to Darren Fleary there. Ayres in an absolutely no-go situation. Eventually gets up and plays the ball. Play switch this way to Dixon onto Pinkney. Pinkney steps down the outside. All Braley can do is watch him going at the corner and prevent him getting near the post.
Pinkney, cover try number 2.
Simon Irvine then with the conversion attempt, some 8 metres in from the touchline side. No, it's going to drift to the right hand side. So Keighley got to be satisfied then with the scoreline reading now 22 points to 6 in their favour and 33 minutes on the running clock.
We'd like to thank Stanley Middleton for the support sponsor today. You didn't hear it, that's Stanley. The Butchers, who's the ball sponsor today, and not forgetting our main sponsor, Magnets. Where you can get your doors, all your stretchers, bed heads, anything you like.
Richardson then restarts. This time it's Andy Ayres on the end of the ball. A dozen metres from the dead ball line there, try line there before being brought to ground. Gareth Cochran steps round one, brought to ground by the other. Combination there, Russell and Charlton. And Darren Fleary tackled again there by Charlton and Waddell this time. Robinson on to Dixon. An appalling pass there from, well, it wasn't a pass, it was more like throwing a shovel full of snow out was that pass. Brendan Hill, well, offloaded the pass there. It looked to me as though it was forward in the first instance, but nowhere could John Walker pick the ball up any more than the man between him and Brendan Hill where he offloaded. Didn't quite see who it was, possibly Simon Irvine, but no chance of picking that ball up. Carlisle winning the resulting scrum. Richardson, as ever, the man taking the ball in. And Waddell hurled to the ground, or hauled to the ground there by Gately and Hill. And a penalty there for holding down. In fact, he's pulling Brendan Hill out. It's not for holding down. In fact, fingers in the mouth, the signal given. So Willie Richardson got the opportunity of tagging a couple of more points onto the Carlisle score to give them a little bit of a boost for the second half, when of course they will be coming down the slope. Safely through though, that one.
There you go, Carlisle. Conversion by Willie Richardson there.
Robinson just claps the hands, exhorting the Keighley players to act as a unit and play to the game plan. Short kick-off, or a shorter kick-off than is normal. Getting as far as the Carlisle 20-metre line as Richardson. Well, certainly not operating in the full-back position the way he's linking in the line, that is for sure. That's Jason, I beg your pardon, that's George Graham taking play up to within 10 metres of the halfway line as Russell takes play on his own, tries to get the centre Colin Paxton in the clear. I beg your pardon, it was Stuart Nubley, the standoff. But the last tackle coming up now as Braley gets up and plays the ball to Russell. He gets it on there to Gary Charlton, puts the ball out. Simon Irvine tries to intercept. All he can do though is knock the ball forward. Had he taken that cleanly, which was would have been a very, very good take indeed, it would have had try written all over it. As it was, he knocked on. It's a scrum down then 10 metres inside the Keighley half with Carlisle's head and feed and subsequently the ball. Oh, and Richardson lost that one in. Dixon goes back inside. Really, he should have given the ball. If Keith Dixon had have only given the ball there, it was wide open for Keighley. Instead he didn't. He took play back inside, and Robinson now left running round in a circle because there's no support. But there's Cochrane there now. There's John Walker in at the corner from the pass by Simon Irvine. Well, that's twice that Keith Dixon has made a complete mess of things and got out of jail free. Sorry Keith, but you did. Well, certainly Carlisle got a bit of a boost a moment or two ago when they got those 2 points from the penalty in front of the post for the infringement by Brendan Hill. But certainly the try there by John Walker within 30 seconds of the end of the first 40 period comes at the best possible time for any side who are on the end of it, or on their total, that is, and the worst possible side for the side conceding it. Carlisle did the conceding. They've got 26 points against them at the moment, with Simon Irvine looking to had a very difficult extra 2. We wait and see. Well, the crowd certainly behind don't have any enthusiasm for the kick, nor do the touch judges, and that's the end of the first half for Keighley. We've had 2 tries in the first half by Nick Pinkney, one by Darren Fleary, another one there by Simon Irvine, and the final one at the end of the first half by John Walker. 3 Simon Irvine goals. In reply, we've had a Hugh Waddell try and 2 Will Richardson goals for Carlisle. Half-time score then, Keighley Cougars 26, Carlisle Border Raiders 8. Well, the referee's whistle's gone some while ago. Carlisle out and ready to start. Keighley still finishing the cups of tea in the changing rooms. Slowly making their way up the slope.
It's Cougar time, part 2.
Just to remind you then, the half-time score 26 points to 8 in favour of Keighley. They're having to play up the hill in the second half. Carlisle will be happy that they've done their stint playing up the hill, but it's hard to run up the hill. It's even harder to backpedal up the hill, and the way that Keighley played in the first half, Carlisle may well find themselves doing a fair bit of backpedaling. But there's 40 minutes to go. We can't really say whether that will be a fact until those 40 minutes have expired. Mr. Atkin prepares to get us underway for the second half, and away we go. Richardson down to Robinson, and Robinson well met there by the chasing Danny Russell, the Carlisle hooker. Russell well offside there as he moved away from that play the ball long before the ball had been played, and that's a tremendous push by the Carlisle defenders back towards the Keighley 10. Gareth Cochrane in possession, and this is Andy Ayres trying to work his way away. And Fleury from Ramshaw gets out of the 20-metre line area. Ramshaw then some 15 metres or less from the halfway line. Steve Hall hits that area but gets pushed back out of it again. Last one coming up, says Mr. Atkin. Robinson pumps the ball up that far side of the field. Willie Richardson, the fullback, going round the outside there, escaping the initial clutches, but brought to ground safely 15 metres from the halfway line. But that was a good clearing run by Richardson for Carlisle, and an equally good tackle there by Barry Quayle. Oh, and that's a bad mistake by Carlisle, and Brendan almost rolled that ball into the ground. And again, Willie Russell way offside, in fact looking back to the referee to see whether he'd blown up for him being offside, but Mr. Atkin not worried about it as Keighley slowly getting the ball away. Cochrane though through the gap, half stumbles, got Pinkney on the inside. Pinkney steps up half a gear, round the back, under the post. Nick Pinkney's hat-trick less than 2 minutes into the second half.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Nick Pinkney's 100th professional try.
No doubt heard that was Nick Pinkney's 100th try. And this one could well be Simon Irving's 39th goal of the season. Certainly is.
There's a 24-hour pool match sponsored for the Jeff Butterfield Keith Dixon Benefit Fund at the White Bear at Eastbourne on the 12th and 13th of November. Anybody wanting to sponsor the players, see Jeff Smith at the bar after the match. That's 24-hour pool sponsored.
Willie Richardson then restarts deep into the Cougar territory, and Robinson fielding with the knees, and again Fleury driving out, this time only as far as a 10-metre line. Very good restart there by Richardson for Carlisle, and there's just breaking out that 10-metre area. Gately 25, but certainly the tackle from Simon Knox there round the throat of Gately. If that's not high, I wouldn't really like to see too many. And Ramshaw, Steve Hall. Last tackle again called by Mr. Atkin as Robinson shapes to kick and does so. Phil Manning, the wingman for Carlisle, on the end of it, but not very confident. Being driven back there very well by Cochrane. Robinson assisting Richardson. Ball obviously pulled out there the way it flew. Richardson, the man in possession, having the ball stolen there. I think it was the arm or the hand of Brendan Hill responsible. The resulting penalty, though, going into touch there on the far side of the field, some 15 metres from the halfway line. Brierley driving down, taken there by Brendan Hill. And that's a spill ball there by George Graham, giving Keighley back possession. Dixon the flat ball across to Robinson. Robinson finds Cochrane and Andre Stoop. Certainly well put down there by Simon Knox. And Cochrane tackled in possession by Colin Paxton. Ian Gately now through the centre of the field, but again a good tackle by Colin Paxton on the big number 8. Ramshaw onto Hall, who switches it to Robinson. He steps back inside. Tries to get up from underneath Willie Johnson, but now Brendan Hill charging through, busting through into the 10-metre areas of Carlisle. Ramshaw is going to have to go on his own, but eventually finds the support outside. Dixon misses out Pinkney. Pinkney manages to get it back again, though. He's going towards the line. Is Pinkney is still going. It's Richardson doing the tackling on him right on the try line there. It was the last tackle. It's a handover. But Keith Dixon again throwing the ball out. It was a ball down by the ankles. First of all, Nick Pinkney had no chance in taking it. Andy Ayres had even less. Fortunately, went behind both of them, or behind the ball went diagonally down, I should say. And fortunately, Pinkney was able to regather. And a tremendous effort there for the try not to be, though, as the handover taking place. The second tackle, and Steve Hall penalised this time. An extra assist down to the floor with the forearm, says Mr. Atkin. So then Johnson for Carlisle gets his colleague into the Keighley half, Hugh Waddell, and Gary Charlton taking place some 10 metres further towards that Cougar try line, but it's still 28 metres away. Waddell tackled there by Brendan Hill on the 20-metre line. Carlisle now look to switch towards the left-hand side if the signals are to believe, but you never believe those sort of signals. And the ball spilled. Robinson on the end of it, rescuing for Keighley. Simon Knox, the man losing the ball in possession. Steve Hall coming away from acting half back onto Cochrane. Cochrane runs across the face of play, but brought down there by George Graham. And Ramshaw now onto Gately. Gately charging through. Willie Johnson wondering what on earth had hit him, being laid on all over. The crowd becoming a bit incensed, and certainly Braley there way offside as he tried to wedge play back, and successfully did wedge play back into the centre of the field. Both acting halves there standing square, and certainly not square to the ball, that's for sure. Side by side. Home player, he plays the ball onto Ramshaw. Robinson. Last one coming up as Cochrane had to take that ball, nobody having gone to the acting half position, and under the circumstances Dixon getting a good kick away because the pressure was certainly on him there. And what a chase there by Steve Hall and Willie Richardson. And an equally good tackle there by Brendan Hill. This time on Phil Manning, keeping Carlisle inside their own 10, and Brendan Hill almost screwing the top half of the body of Manning away from him there as he tackled him as he received the ball. Hall in there and Ramshaw, but Hugh Waddell getting valuable yards there for Carlisle. And there's the kick. It wasn't a particularly good kick, wasn't that? It certainly seemed to come off the side of the boot, but it's certainly taken the pressure off the Carlisle line, for at least for the moment.
3,667. Lovely. Thank you very much.
3,667 the crowd, and I can't see more than 60 of those coming from Carlisle, so it's a tremendous turnout by the Keighley supporters this afternoon. Robinson from the scrum finds Walker. Oh, Walker, what on earth was John Walker doing there? The tackle not completed. He played the ball so quickly, but it's opened up the defence on the far side. Andre Stoup creating a cross with Nick Pinkney. The ball should have gone to Nick Pinkney, there's no question about it. The cross was absolutely positive. There was the cross. Andre Stoup causing it, no question at all. The Carlisle defence had been cut apart there by Stoup's run, and had he only given the ball to Pinkney instead of dummying him, there could so well have been another try on for Keighley. As it was, the shepherd was called by referee Atkin, quite rightly so in my opinion, and Carlisle now launching into the Keighley half with the hope of at least getting near enough to the try line to have a possible score. Stuart Nubley, the Carlisle standoff, brought to ground just inside the 10 area. Hugh Waddell taking play to 25 metres from the Keighley line, gets up and plays the ball to Russell. Gets the ball out there to number 4 Simon Knox, and Knox is going to score. He has indeed. Simon Irvine completely missed the tackle there. He bought a dummy, and it wasn't a particularly good dummy, but he certainly paid full whack for that one. His opposite number 4 going in at the corner.
Full-time score here, it's Ian Fairhurst against Peter Rowe. It was Barrow 8 and Hunslet 21.
Well, I did say that Hugh Waddell was looking to make inroads into the Keighley half of the field there when he took the charge across the halfway line and broke the 10 inside Keighley's half with the hope of getting close enough to score, and certainly those hopes were rewarded by Simon Knox finishing off in the corner for Carlisle. Well, Richardson down in this corner, only a metre in from the touchline side. And that's a good attempt by Richardson, a tremendous shot.
Very good kick there by Willie Richardson for Carlisle. Excellent kick.
So Carlisle added 50% to the score, taking themselves into double figures, or more than 50%, almost. In fact, yes, well, a lot anyway. Their score now line increased from 8 to 14, and Keighley's on 32. Richardson in the full-back position, seems to be alternating between full-back and scrum half, does Richardson, with Johnson. Russell, the hooker, gets the ball out there to George Graham. Graham tackled 25 metres out. I beg your pardon, it wasn't Graham, it was Brayley. This is Graham. Offloads there to Russell in the tackle. And Carlisle doing well to keep the ball alive, managing to get the ball away pretty smartly from those tackles. The Keighley arms not securing the ball, holding the arm holding the ball in the Carlisle hands. And Gary Charlton complains to the referee that Cochrane crawled all over him there to get away, but Mr. Atkin not interested. That's a good ball, but equally well taken there by Stoop. And the despairing arm of Russell almost taking Stoop's head off as he went down, but fortunately missed him. Wouldn't have been anything particularly wrong with it as a head high because Stoop was going down, but did well to avoid it, did Stoop. And on Johnny Walker then now inside 10 from the halfway line. Steve Hall going to have to take the tackle and being driven well back there. Well, he's offloaded, hasn't he, eventually? That was always on. But Johnson manages to get a hand to it as it went out. Mr. Atkins saw it, so it's back to a full set of 6 for Keighley now as Gaither spun out of the first tackle but brought to ground with the second one there of George Graham and Russell. And Dixon steps inside, but not inside far enough to evade the tackling arms of Steve Brierley, the number 8, as Darren Fleary goes now. Half busts the tackle but loses the ball. Ball lost there. Gathered by Carlisle's number 11, Jason Charlton. And this is Will Richardson playing the ball onto Russell. Woodell gets up, plays the ball to Russell. Ball switched back inside to the try scorer Knox, but only goes as far as the waiting arms of Steve Hall, who puts him down to ground. And Johnson gets the ball out the far side now to centre Colin Paxton, but play again transferred across field but equidistant from the halfway line. Robinson on the end of that one finds Andre Stoop coming up. Stoop tackled by his opposite number Richardson, brought to ground. Gary Charlton now doing the holding down that he's been complaining about. 3 markers there for Carlisle there was at that play of the ball. And Steve Hall manages to get up and play eventually over the far side now. Looked a bit forward to Andy Ayres. I have to say that ball to Andy Ayres certainly looked forward. I think it was Nick Pinkney that supplied the pass, but I would be extremely disappointed if Keighley had conceded that try. The ball looked to be, in my opinion, and we're just behind play from our spot, probably half a yard forward. But Mr. Atkins said not. He's the man with the whistle, he's the one who you've got to play to. Andy Ayres did just that, scored in the corner.
Andy Ayres got a new tune.
Conversion attempt then right from the touchline side. It's got the height, but the crowd say ooh.
I'd like to remind you that the New Year's Eve tickets and Christmas Eve tickets will be going on sale next week. There'll be a posh do upstairs and a good do downstairs, so look out for the prices in the paper and order your tickets next week. They'll be advertised in the papers next week. Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve in the Cougar Bar.
So then Willard Richardson restarts for the 9th time. down towards the bottom side. Nick Pinkney just having to do a bit of football there before being able to recover the ball. Carlisle doing a good chase. Robinson. Andy Ayres half away from the first tackle, but brought down there by those two Carlisle defenders. 14 who's just come on, Jeff Robinson, and loose forward Gary Charlton doing the tackling on Ayres, and there's Robinson once more. Number 14 is Steve Hall now. Comes on a bit burst. Andre Stoop does the juggling and regathers. He's still going there. He's got Irvin with him. Irvin back inside to John Walker. Play's still going along, but the U's and the R's coming on, and oh, come on there, Mr. Atkin laying on to the nth degree and still being held down there, John Walker, as he got up and played the ball. But this is Dixon onto Irvin, but Irvin loses the ball in the tackle. Carlisle regather. Brierley gets up and plays the ball. It's Richardson, caught by the ankle and helped back to his feet by Steve Hall. Keighley certainly up very, very quickly there. Don't really know how Ian Gately managed to make those yards, but make them he did. And in on the tackling again, there's 3 Keighley boys involved there in that tackle on Simon Knox. And Gary Charlton gets the ball out there to George Graham, but the big number 12 held some 12 metres from the halfway line. Russell now on to Woodell. Last one called by Mr. Atkin. And the kick comes in. It's high. Referee's telling the ones that are offside. Stoop gathers the ball but loses it. Referee says it was stolen. Didn't look to me as though he took it too cleanly to start with, but Mr. Atkin some considerable number of yards nearer than we are.
Substitution, on comes Grant Dory, off comes Darren Fleary. Good game for Darren there.
Darren Fleary then just been substituted. Grant Dory returning.
And the Carlisle substitution was Robinson for Quayle.
And the subsequent penalty there for Keighley for that reaping out in the tackle. Putting to touch some, well, in fact right on the halfway line. Ramshaw switching the ball back inside to Steve Hall. The move certainly well telegraphed. And it's Gately now. Driving in, hard drive there from Ian Gately. 10 metres into the opposition half of the field as Ramshaw gets the ball out to Robinson. He runs down with Dixon, goes through the gap. Robinson's going. Is he going to get his first try for the club? No, he's not. Yet again, Robinson proves the unselfish person he is. Gives Brendan Hill the ball. Brendan Hill scores the try. But that was a tremendous break there by Chris Robinson. He's been threatening to do that most of the game. Seeing a half gap, he went for it this time. This time the gap didn't close on him. He went there. He may have got there, he may not, I don't know, but unselfishly gave the ball to Brendan Hill, who's not in considerable weight, ploughed away the remnants of the Carlisle defence and scored the try.
Brendan Hill.
Simon Irvin successfully converts.
There you go, Super Simon. Cougar Cubs are having a quiz on Timothy Taylor's pub on Tuesday night, 8:30, to raise funds for a new kit. All's welcome, pint-piece supper. Gary will do a strip if 200 turn up. So there you are. Cougar Cubs, Tuesday. Timothy Taylor.
23 minutes into the second half. Keighley Cougars already into the 40-point area, 42 points in fact, 14 in reply from the Carlisle Border Raiders. Richardson restarts into the double figures now, certainly getting well used to that centre spot. Steve Hall having taken over the role of the drive away from defence from Darren Fleary, the second row having been substituted a moment or two by Grant Dorey. And Ayres gets a swift ball out there to Walker. Walker taking it well and taking on the defence as well, but can't really get away from three of them. Gately's turning there, seeing two Carlisle players advancing on him, gets up, plays the ball quickly. Robinson onto Brendan Hill, but Hill brought down some dozen metres from the halfway line. Ramshaw. Hall loses the ball. Uncharacteristically, just has a quick look at his hands. Certainly don't see Steve Hall making too many mistakes like that. That ball's out there and almost regathered by Ian Gately, who escaped the scrum. Carlisle got it back, and Ian Gately doing the tackling there on Richardson. Certainly Willie Richardson has a certain characteristic. Every time he's tackled, I've noticed that he's got up and almost half threatened the player who's done the tackling on him. Certainly don't pick players the size of Ian Gately or Brendan Hill to make those threats, and I wouldn't have thought. There's Charlton now. Whoa, that looked... The ball offloaded in the tackle there, but a nice bit of interchange of play there between two props, if you like. Gately clutched the ball out of the air, smartly offloaded it to Steve Hall, and Hall took the play on. And he got up and played the ball to himself there, no marker present, and almost gets to the halfway line. Super play there by the two big props. Robinson onto Dixon. Dixon, a long ball out there to Irvine. Irvine sees a half gap, goes through it, but the support's gone inside. Pinkney loses the ball. Well, the crowd at the top end don't particularly like it.
Get with him, Johnny! Johnny! Johnny Wolf, get with him! Get with him!
Referee just stops play a moment whilst the substitution goes on. In fact, two substitutions. Keighley bringing off Jason Ramshaw.
Cougar substitution is
introducing Darren Appleby.
Off comes Jason Ramshaw.
And a substitution also for Carlisle, Willie Johnson rather, going off.
Darren's helmet is sponsored by Stairlifts.
And Jeff Robinson, the 14
And the
for
Carlisle substitution was
Carlisle, has gone
Johnson.
He's gone to scrum half, and Armstrong rather, come on for Johnson. That's Armstrong over the far side of the field, getting an early touch of the ball.
Get on the message to Dury. He should be defending on the right-hand side.
So then play just inside the Keighley half of the field. Graham takes play. Beg your pardon, Brearley. Bit of juggling there again by Jeff Robinson. Ball went back over the top. Russell kicks the ball forward. Johnny Walker takes it. Just has sufficient time to see Russell coming to him after he's secured the ball, and just look at that mess there by those Carlisle players. Russell never made the 10-metre line at all, being allowed to get away with it, going in and being involved in the tackle. And Steve Hall settling things down 5 metres from the halfway line. Darren Appleby at acting half. Again, 3 Carlisle players involved at the marker position. Cochrane though finds Pinkney. Pinkney's going. Nobody's going to stop Nick Pinkney. He's in for number 4. Willie Richardson's trying, but he's no chance. And not more, Nick Pinkney was running through a semi-paddy field on the far side there. Tremendous pace, tremendous play there by Keighley. They got the ball out to the speed man. It was obvious when Pinkney got it in full flight. Nobody was going to get near him from the Carlisle defence. Try number 4 for Nick Pinkney. 46 points for Keighley. Five goals so far from the boot of Simon Irvine, and yet another difficult task in front of him now. Pulled across the face once more.
Once again, we'd like to thank Magnet for today's main sponsor, also Stanley Middleton Butchers for the ball sponsor, and the man of the match sponsor today is Herbert Roberts, dyers, finishers and shrinkers. That's a good one. We're gonna shrink you, boy. Don't forget New Year's Eve, folks, next week. Tickets on sale. Get them, we're going to go fast. And don't forget our disco Wednesday,
46
Friday,
points to 14 then, the scoreline, just to remind you,
you.
some 10 minutes still left on the clock as Carlisle try the short kick off this time. But Brendan Hill taking his eye off. The referee, I think, going to give the first knock on, is he? Carlisle not, in his opinion, really having the opportunity to have taken advantage of that spill by Brendan Hill. Gareth Cochrane certainly trying to take the back off the Carlisle, the shirt off the back there, and almost succeeded. The Carlisle substitute, Jeff Robinson. Graham managing to offload in the tackle. Simon Knox doing well to pick that ball up.
Oh, come on, Simon.
30 metres out then as Knox put to ground, and Russell gets the ball inside this time to Braley. Steve Braley though tackled but manages to offload. Ramshaw sweeping up. Cochrane, oh dear me, oh dear me. Mistake there, of course. It's Darren Appleby, the hooker. Just looking at the head guard tells me it's Jason Ramshaw. Of course it's not. Certainly Cochrane in a little bit of a mess there at the moment. Could well do with, there's only 10 minutes to go. The game's certainly secure. Could possibly do with taking me onto the bench, I think, for security reasons, if nothing else. Gary Charlton, the man being spoken to by the referee. It's either bath or stay on, is this. There's no sin bin. I don't think Mr. Atkins doing anything. He's telling him how long there is left. Saying if you want to go early, you can do.
Couple of final scores here. Dewsbury 20, Hull Kingston Rovers 6. Bramley 16.
And Cochrane's still not sure which part of the world he's on.
Wales 4, Australia 46. Barrow 8, Hunslet 21.
It still doesn't look right, doesn't Gareth Cochrane? The legs certainly look to have gone as Keith Dixon puts the ball into touch. Appleby then on to Gately. Gately driving in. And Appleby on to Hill. Hill takes the ball in. Onto the Carlisle 20-metre line. Appleby acting half-back. calling the shots. Out to Hall. Hall switches back inside to Robinson. Robinson surely should have had the assistance and support of the standoff closer to him than he was there, as Steve Hall now takes the ball up towards that Carlisle 10-metre line, and being assisted by the Carlisle defenders in his endeavours. Appleby on then to Dixon. Dixon now met head on there by two defenders, and Appleby decides to go on his own, but Russell been coming around the short side all the time. Whoa, a big one there by Brendan Hill. Oh, and what a good one it is. But I think actually Robinson might well have knocked that ball forward. But that was a tremendous kick there by Brendan Hill. It went straight up and came straight down. Richardson tackled there by Robinson, moving quickly from the second marker position. And this time it's Appleby doing the tackling, again from the marking position. Carlisle encamped in that 10-metre area for the time being. Russell switching play to down the short side, Braley back into Russell. But Russell well tackled there by Appleby. Gets up, plays the ball, gets it into the middle of the park to Graham. The inconsiderable size of the Carlisle second row brought to the ground some 30 metres from his own line. It's the last tackle. Waddell puts the short one over, Ayres on the end of it, takes the ball, takes the tackle, and looks to set Keighley up again as Stoop now joins in into the Carlisle half. 4 minutes left of this allocated 80 plus of stoppages as Keith Dixon brought to ground on the halfway line. And Appleby again at acting half back onto Robinson. Inside the Carlisle half just. Russell allowing Robinson eventually to get up as Steve Hall now takes the charge towards the Carlisle defence. It's the last one coming up. And Robinson puts the kick over the corner. It's a good kick, is that, from Robinson, not going into touch. It forces Derek Armstrong. And Richardson, he's got through a mountain of work for Carlisle as Willie Richardson, the full-back. And Robinson tackled just inside his own 20-metre line for Carlisle. Come down, offer the ball. Irving does the tackling, but the man gets, Simon Knox gets the ball away to winger Phil Manning. And he's tackled 10 metres. Russell again operating the short side, loses the ball in the tackle. Referee calls for the knock-on. Keighley wanting to do a substitution.
Today's man of the match chosen by Herbert Roberts Limited.
Substitution coming now. It's
number 13, Gareth Cochran.
Keith Dixon coming off, Jason Ramshaw coming back on. Keith Dixon not looking. Eventually sees the board going up.
Keith Dixon played a good game, and on comes Jason Ramshaw once again.
So then the scrum forms just inside the Carlisle half. John Walker takes the ball in towards the centre of the field. And it's Cochran. Recovered from that knock. The head flies back again though in the tackle there. And Appleby acting half back. Perhaps Jason Ramshaw to be operating there again. And Appleby loses the ball. Darren Appleby dropping into the standoff position. Jason Ramshaw taking up his more accustomed role as the number 9. And Willie Richardson struggling away there, almost escaping the tackles. Approaching the last minute now of normal time as Waddell take on the end of another crunching tackle there. This time it's Gareth Cochrane and Ian Gately doing it. And Graham wrapped up there just inside the Keighley half of the field. Moment the scoreline still 46-14 in Keighley's favour. And Simon Knox on the move again. Knox gets the ball out there, but Irvine, in fact, is it Irvine or is it John Walker? It's John Walker, claws the ball out of the air. In fact, hurts himself in the process. He's gone down. The referee calls time out just a moment as Johnny Walker injured, but it was a tremendous take there. It could have had try written all over it at that ball. Knox had got a nice ball out, going out towards the wing position, Phil Manning. He could, he would have tried had he taken the ball, but Johnny Walker got different ideas, unfortunately injured in the process. Just gives me the opportunity of running through the score. There's 4 tries, of course, for Nick Pinkney. Darren Fleary got 1. Simon Irvine also added in the first half, as did John Walker. And the second half we saw a tremendous try there from Brendan Hill. The support move from Chris Robinson's great break in the centre of the field. Andy Ayres added another. And we've had 5 Simon Irvine goals. That's Keighley's 46 points. Carlisle's 14. They've come in the shape of tries from Hugh Waddell and Simon Knox, and 3 Willie Richardson goals. And it's Keighley now just using up the remaining seconds of this second division championship game, a game which sees them safely another 2 points and establishing their position at the top of the second division. The last tackle coming up. Robinson again pumps the ball upfield. Good kick again, finds the gap between the fullback Willie Richardson and Phil Manning, and it's good chase again, and it's that man Cochrane there. He's up there. He's put in a lot of work this afternoon as Gareth Cochrane for Keighley, the loose forward for Keighley. Tremendous amount of work. He's been putting some big tackles in, and he's been making some quite telling breaks as well. Carlisle in the shape there of Derek Armstrong over the far side, endeavouring to reach the 20-metre line, and they too just working their way towards the halfway line, working their way towards the final hooter. Russell acting half-back. Gary Charlton gets the ball out there to Russell once more. Russell finds Knox. Knox has got the standoff outside him, but he's also got the winger out, Phil Manning. Mr. Atkin denies the score. The pass called forward. It certainly was, but I don't think it was any further forward than the pass that Andy Ayres got, that he scored the try in the top corner.
19, Doncaster 16. That's final score.
So then Robinson feeds the scrum. 6 tackles here should be in the bag for Keighley. That is, unless they either spill the ball or score a try. John Walker gets the ball away. Cochrane, Appleby delays the pass. Finds Andy Ayres 10 metres from the halfway line, but there's the final hooter. It's all over. 3,600 people here certainly enjoyed the game. Say 46 points to 14. Next week it's the big one again for Keighley. It's the one that will test them. It's up at Whitehaven. They'll need all the support they can get there. And we'll be taking the cameras. If you can't join us live, we hope you'll be able to see us on tape. So then finally from Keighley Cougars, from Cougar Park, it's goodbye once more.
Our man of the match sponsor Herbert Roberts, and our ball sponsor Stanley Middleton.